Chaotic ending in Brazil. 3 seconds left. Malik Willis in the game. And why is Malik Willis in the game? Well, because Jordan Love got injured the play before, a lower left leg injury. As you take a look right here, had to be helped off the field, but seemed to be okay walking off the field with help. We're not going to speculate in terms of severity, but Jordan Love was injured at the end of this game, and it is the Eagles that are victorious in Brazil. Final score 34-29. Let's break it down. Welcome in former Louisiana running back Emory Hunt, CBS Sports HQ draft analyst Ryan Wilson. And Emory, we saw Jordan Love get injured at the end of this game. How concerned are you right now with the injury and what you saw?
Would be very concerned because it's a lower leg injury, so you know his game is predicated on movement within the pocket, escaping outside of the pocket, buying time, and being able to throw off different platforms. And if you don't have your full strength in your lower body, those things will be tough to do. Now, we don't know the severity of the injury, and we don't want to speculate, but it is important to realize that's a part of his game. What makes him Jordan Love, and hopefully it's all good come this upcoming week.
Ryan, what did you see there on that play in him getting injured?
A couple things came to mind immediately, and I heard Akeem, you and Emory talk about this in the pregame. Packers got to get on a bus for 2 hours while he's trying to make his lower leg, whatever, the knee, the ankle, whatever it is, ice it, keep it better, do the therapy that you need to do, that you typically do in the locker room at the facility. And so that's one thing. The other thing, and this is slightly better news, we saw him being helped off the field. We don't know the extent or the seriousness of the injury. But if you're looking for a silver lining, their next 2 games are against AFC opponents. They play Indianapolis and they play Tennessee. And then the following week, week 4, they have an NFC North matchup against the Vikings. So you have 2 weeks to get this sorted out if it does linger. In terms of what that means in 2 weeks if you can't play, and we don't know, but just speculating once again, I don't know if you want Malik Willis out there. He's been on the team for less than 10 days. So that's something they have to figure out as well. Up till that point, there was some good from Jordan Love and some stuff that you see in week 1 that you want to see improvement on, but maybe we'll have to wait. We'll find out.
Yeah, a couple times he threw off his back foot unnecessarily. The one time on the interception, didn't plant his foot. We saw how good he was at the end of last season. How are you feeling right now knowing that he was solid in this game, not perfect, and then he gets injured at the end of this game?
I feel like we over-exaggerate or over-analyze these Week 1 matchups because this is essentially the fourth preseason game. First time these guys have played a full game all throughout the course of the 60 minutes, and they hadn't played much of the preseason. And this is a part of his game. This was a part of his game last season. So they say the same things that make you laugh, make you cry. I'm not concerned at all because this is who Jordan Love is. Yes, first time out there for a full game, playing in the regular season. Yes, it counts for real. But this is the same Jordan Love that we saw thrive last season, throwing the same ways. They got him paid in the offseason. So I'm more concerned about the injury and not what we saw him do out there on the field because, again, it's week 1.
4 years, $220 million in the offseason, making him one of the highest paid quarterbacks in NFL history. Saquon Barkley got paid in the offseason, a 3-year deal nearly worth $38 million, 26 guaranteed. And Ryan, we saw Saquon Barkley, doing work. It was a big night for him. 24 carries, 109 rushing yards, 3 total touchdowns. Your reaction to what you saw from Saquon Barkley here in week 1?
Akeem, the Giants weren't playing tonight, but according to Twitter, the Giants were the big losers tonight because they let Saquon not only walk out of the building, but walk down I-95 about an hour to the Philadelphia Eagles, hopped on a plane for 10 more hours, and here he is looking like he was fresh out of Penn State. This is some of the best Saquon Barkley we've seen in a couple years. He's now completely healthy, and he had a lot to do with how this team overcame those early mistakes, the 2 turnovers early in the first quarter that made you feel like, okay, here we go again, 2023 Eagles. But Saquon Barkley's a reason for optimism. I think the way that Nick Sirianni has let his coordinators, both experienced, both new, Kellerman on offense and Vic Fangio on defense, take care of their respective units. And I think that was a point where you said, okay, is this team going to break right now, halfway through week 1, or are they going to have a little backbone here? And perhaps that's a something that we can look forward to in terms of how the Eagles are going to go forward this year. Because last year they finished 1-6, the wheels fell off, and we didn't know if Nick Sirianni was going to keep his job. A lot of things have changed. One of those changes was Saquon Barkley, and clearly that was an investment well worth it, even one game into the season here.
You know, we were watching the game in the green room with our Madeline Burke, who works here at CBS Sports. She noted how Saquon looks a little bit leaner, and when you think about him being a leaner back, he's looking a lot like the Penn State Saquon Barkley. You combine that with the offensive line and the zone read, and we saw that burst return to Saquon Barkley. If this was a normal field and had better field conditions, he probably could have gone for over 200 yards rushing tonight against Green Bay. So this, if you're an Eagles fan or just a football fan in general, a fan of Saquon Barkley, you have to like what you've seen tonight from a guy that's going to probably cross 1,400 yards this season running like he did tonight.
Tied for the most touchdowns by any player in a team debut since 1970, matching Terrell Owens with 3 touchdowns in this one against the Packers. Ryan, how do we feel about Jalen Hurts, his night? How do you feel about that? The 3 turnovers, but he was still productive, but he wasn't the Jalen Hurts that we expect him to be.
I think what Jalen Hurts is looking for, Akeem, is stability. Since he's been in Philadelphia, they've had turnover the offensive coordinator position. Shane Steichen 2 years ago got the most out of Jalen Hurts, and then he took the job in Indianapolis, who they'll face next week, incidentally. Last year it was Brian Johnson as OC, and nothing went right. Even when they were 10-1, you would look at that offense and go, this doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel sustainable. And then, of course, they finished 1-6. And I think in Kellen Moore, there's an understanding of what is expected of Jalen Hurts. They hadn't used motion the previous 2 years, and that wasn't necessarily a bad thing when you had the right play call dialed up. We'll see a lot more motion. We saw it tonight with Kellen Moore, guys getting leverage at the line of scrimmage and getting open that way. We know about the playmakers, A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. And then, of course, Saquon Barkley caught the touchdown pass, which was another added element to what Jalen Hurts could do. Was Jalen Hurts perfect? No, but Emery sort of touched on it with Jordan Love. Number one, the field conditions were deplorable. If we were upset last night about the illegal formation calls, the field was less than spectacular or garbage. Either one of those terms works. And I expect Jalen Hurts to get better. And again, I feel like this was a test for this Eagles team after the way things ended last year. And they came out on top. It wasn't pretty, but they got the win. And I think they're going to build on that and the confidence that comes with it as well.
There's 3 parts to this, in my opinion, where Jalen Hurts, you like the fact that he is able to battle through adversity. So he had an up and down game, but on the back end of it, was able to drive his team down the field to where they got the game-winning points, right? The field goal to put them up by 5 or 6. And so when you look at that, okay, cool, that's Jalen Hurts. That's what he does. The touchdown passes, that's what he does. What he also does is protect the football. We hadn't seen that this in his ball game. And I can't shoot him bail on saying, like, you know what, man, that's the new OC, because you are in control of where you throw the football. And some of those interceptions were head scratchers. Now, what Ryan was talking about, and I agree with completely, he's working with the new OC in Kellen Moore, and what we saw tonight was the play clock running down to the last couple of seconds before they get the ball off. Some more changes at the line, some checks at the line. All of that you can attribute to them working out the kinks with the new OC. So I felt like we saw 3 parts of Jalen Hurts tonight. 2 are going to get cleaned up, and we'll see the full Jalen Hurts like we saw when he nearly won MVP in 2022.
Well, they have to clean up the exchanges as well with Cam Jurgens and Jalen Hurts, because the tush-push wasn't effective. We saw a fumble lost there. We saw a fumble late in the game. It was recovered by the Eagles, but that's something that they got to clean that up, because that's a signature play in Philadelphia, and if it's going to continue without Jason Kelce, Cam Jurgens and Jalen Hurts are going to have to get on the same page. Let's talk about this Eagles defense, Ryan, because as our good friend Bryant McFadden calls it, it's that elbow defense, the bend but don't break. They only gave up 9 points off of the 3 turnovers committed by Jalen Hurts in this game. What does that say about Vic Fangio's new defense in Philadelphia?
I still can't wrap my brain around the idea that Matt Patricia got that job last season. Things were going so badly, and Vic Fangio has taken this unit and done a 180 with them. Shout out to Nakobe Dean, who played so well, he was probably going to get the starting job anyway, even though they signed Devin White. He had a really good game. If he can stay healthy, it's going to be a great season for him. Shout out to Quinyon Mitchell, the first-round pick. first defensive back off the board out of Toledo, had opportunities in the transfer portal last year to go to places like Alabama, stayed put at Toledo, and absolutely balled out tonight. He was unafraid. He played big, fast, strong, played through the ball. And I think those types of players are what Vic Fangio is looking for. And this defense doesn't complicate it. They're not doing a bunch of things pre-snap that you don't recognize. It's post-snap where things get interesting. And I think Vic Fangio brought that here. And to your point, Akeem, they did as well as they could given the field position and the turnovers early in that game. Bend but not break, as B-Mac likes to say. And I think this portends good things as well for this Eagles team compared to how they collapsed last year. New OCs, new personnel, and they seem to have a new lease on life.
And shout out to Zach Bond.
Oh,
he was drafted by the New Orleans Saints.
Love that guy.
We saw him rush the passer like crazy and blitz like crazy at Wisconsin. He gets to New Orleans and doesn't do any of that stuff because they had him playing off the ball and dropping in the coverage, and he barely played. He goes to Philadelphia. Hey, man, we want you to rush the passer, get after the quarterback. 2 sacks, the game-winning sack he had at the end of the game against Malik Willis, but he was all over the field. So situations matter, and Ryan does a great job during the draft talking about where these guys can go and how it's important for the situations that they go to where they can realize their potential. We saw that tonight with Nakobe Dean, and we saw that tonight with Zach Bond. I thought he had a well of a game. That makes you feel like you can kind of forget about Hassan Reddick. Not so fast, but he's on the trajectory of being that premier guy that can come in, make a play when there needs to be a play made. I thought Bond played fantastic tonight.
He had 15 total tackles, 11 solo. You and I always talk about, and Ryan as well, we talk about having the right personnel in your schemes. I mean, this is a guy that was a dual threat quarterback in high school, and now he is making plays as a linebacker for the Eagles. Again, 15 total tackles, 11 solo. The Eagles are 1-0 after a 1-6 finish to 2023. Ryan Wilson, Emery Hunt here on CBS Sports HQ. Our first NFL Sunday is upon us. Here's what the games on CBS. Josh Allen and the Bills hosting Kyler Murray and the Cardinals. Bengals taking on the Patriots. Will Jamar Chase play on Sunday amid a contract dispute? 4 p.m. Eastern window, Raiders Chargers as the Jim Harbaugh era begins. Rookie Bo Nix taking over in Denver as he makes his Broncos debut in one of the toughest places to play in the NFL at the Seahawks. We'll have full highlights and complete post-game coverage on CBS Sports HQ.